Hey everybody, I'm Scribe, and with me as always is Ranting Monkey. Say hi, Monkey.
Hi, Monkey.
And the lovely SDA. Hi, SDA.
Hi.
And so, today we have the end of the world, because hyperbole was the watchword for the news as far as I saw it. We're in Nixon territory, part two. Trump has set himself up to be impeached. His presidency is over. What he did was illegal. I can't count the other things I've heard today over the radio and otherwise about what's happening.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
radio.
Some people listen to the
Yeah,
radio.
you know the
So
radio.
retro.
Yeah, I know. Listening to the news in the morning while I get ready for work. God forbid.
It's okay. I listen to talk radio too. It's fine.
The only thing that really has worried me that I've heard about is that supposedly Comey had asked for more money for the investigation, but that hasn't been corroborated anywhere. It was just a CNN unnamed sources story.
Right.
So we'll see how that one comes out. Otherwise, I still don't give a shit about this story.
Yeah. But just to start off, it is the news. To start off with what CNN, our friends at CNN say, and I'm waiting to see what kind of editing mistakes we find.
Our favorite bad editors.
Okay, so their headline is 4 Ways Trump Miscalculated the Comey Firing. I'm going to read the bullet points, and if any of them sound really interesting, I'll read the paragraphs underneath, but I'm not going to waste too much time on it. Number 1, he thought Democrats would pull their punches.
I don't think he did. I think that they're talking about how the Democrats were saying either Comey should step down or should be fired.
Right.
I don't think he miscalculated that at all. I just think it's still about the timing for people. I don't think this means that suddenly Schumer thinks Comey's a great guy.
Right.
God damn it, CNN, don't make me defend Schumer.
Well, yeah, that's exactly who they quote. Donald Trump quotes Chuck Schumer about having said, quote, "I do not have confidence in him any longer."
Right.
And acts so indignant. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see people who were so against him for having done what he did in releasing the Clinton investigation right before the election and all the things they were saying bad about him, and now them protesting his firing. That is interesting in sort of a hypocrisy way, but still, yeah, go ahead.
But not necessarily, because I mean, you can still think he's completely incompetent in some ways and think that Trump did this to get him off of the Russian investigation.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's true. I'm not saying that, folks.
Yeah.
But it is possible for both of those things to be true. For him to have no confidence in Comey and think it's fucked up that Trump fired him when he did. I don't think that's true. I think Schumer's actually just playing politics here.
Sure. Well, that's all he can do. That's his job at this point. Let's see. Number 2, he expected Republicans to keep the wagon circled tight. Well, first and foremost, unless there's some statements to the contrary otherwise, this author doesn't know what Trump was thinking.
Yeah.
So that these bullet points already irritate me, because it's like, okay, either you're going to cite sources or you're a mind reader. Which one is it?
Well, it is. Isn't it CNN?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, CNN knows everything.
This is another one that doesn't make sense, because the Republicans have never closed ship around him.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it with the election. We saw it with the health care bill.
Yeah.
There would be no reason for him to think that.
No, not with everything that's come before. And so this author's a moron. Let's see what his justification is, though, just because I'm curious.
Sure.
Though Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell effectively backed him on Wednesday morning, dismissing Democrats' outrage as mere partisan rancor, and Senators Lindsey Graham and Susan Collins were supportive, a number of Republicans seemed rattled, too. House Speaker Paul Ryan was silent on the matter for nearly 24 hours before falling in line with McConnell Wednesday evening, and Senate Intelligence Chairman Richard Burr of North Carolina on Tuesday expressed serious reservations he wasn't alone. And none of this has anything to do with how you know what Trump was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, and so it says that Paul Ryan was also wary of it as well.
That was the indication. He was silent on it for 24 hours, but then he fell in line with McConnell.
And yet we're supposed to believe that the Republicans are all fawning over him.
He just fall in line. That's what Trump thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, that's silly.
This doesn't make any sense.
I want to hear his other 2 points.
I mean, Paul Ryan has never really been excited about working with Trump.
No. So let's see. His third point. Okay. He outsmarted himself by trying to use Clinton as a shield. He outsmarted himself, so he's just smarter than himself? That's good to know. What?
Did he just give Trump a compliment?
Let's see.
No,
okay.
He was saying Trump isn't as smart as he thinks he is.
All right, so here's his backing up of this, I guess. And again, I haven't read this. This is all new to me. Here is Trump on October 31st, 2016 at a rally, of course, a campaign stop. Well, okay, great. Quote, I really disagreed with Comey in July when he publicly ended the probe. I was not his fan, but I'll tell you what he did, he brought back his reputation. He brought it back. He's got to hang tough because a lot of people want him to do the wrong thing, but what he did was the right thing, unquote. 8 days later, Trump defeated Clinton, but in the memo written by Rosenstein, presented by the White House as Trump's rationale for acting, Comey's rough remarks about Clinton at the July 5th press conference are singled out for criticism. Well, not that I'm going to defend the logic of it, because honestly, if he had such a problem with it, he should have fired Comey in the first 2 weeks of his presidency, rather than wait until now. But there is a difference between being on the campaign trail as a non-politician and then being in the White House and having to deal with the actual realities of it.
Not to mention, it's not unusual for politicians to like something when it goes their way.
Yes.
Not like it when it doesn't.
Yeah, Clinton is completely innocent of that.
Well, you notice that they're not bringing up any of the statements before that August or October one, whatever it was, where he says, yes, Comey did good.
Yeah.
Spent the whole summer trashing him.
Mm-hmm. What was he specifically complimenting Comey on at that point?
Reopening the investigation into Clinton.
Yeah, and what had happened when he was? What happened when Comey basically gave Clinton a pass? What was Trump saying? Yeah, he was saying the same thing. He was saying that's ridiculous. That's bad.
Yeah, because that's what he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
So presenting that statement out of context doesn't make any sense because he was praising Comey for investigating Hillary Clinton like he should have been doing.
And
he did say that this brought back his credibility, which was fucking stupid. It's hyperbolic.
Yes, that was stupid.
But he was also on the campaign trail.
Exactly. He got his way, for fuck's sake. Anyway, well, what's our last point?
And the last miscalculation, he involved Jeff Sessions casting doubt on integrity of the Justice Department.
That one I can kind of give him.
Yeah.
Because Sessions is supposed to be completely recused from this, which is
right. Exactly.
Which is why the report that was written came from the deputy AG and not the AG.
Right. Exactly.
So they still did it the right way. He just passed the report to Sessions, who passed it on to the president, because that's still how the chain of command goes.
Yep. Yeah, so that was not a good move involving Sessions at all, but out of the 4 points, that's the only valid one as far as I'm concerned, or the only one that makes any sense.
Here's what I think. I think Trump thought that the memo from the deputy AG would insulate him enough from criticism, and that the criticism of Comey to date from pretty much everybody would at least keep his online backers and the people at home happy enough with him that this wouldn't be a big scandal.
Right.
I think that was a miscalculation because the press is just waiting for something to get him on. So I would say that was a miscalculation, but I don't think this is going to not putting on my prognosticator cap here, but from what I see right now, this is not going to rise to impeachment or removal. This is it's going to blow over in a few months.
Why would it rise to impeachment in the first place?
If he removed the deputy director, or the director of the FBI, because of an investigation into him, that would be enough to at least get public opinion on their side.
Well, yeah, of course, but there's no evidence that that's what's happening. That is what's happening, is there?
No, but it's the speculation from a lot of people.
Right.
Well, a lot of people who have been screaming for his impeachment since he breathed in the White House.
Well, I mean, they've been looking into this since before the election occurred, and as far as I know, nothing has been found. Yeah, that was improper. I mean, was there contact with Russia? Yes. Is there something kooky with Michael Flynn and everything else? Well, that's being investigated right now. But as far as like Trump coordinated with Russia to leak Clinton's emails, that's pretty much the only thing that they've got to go on, because all this verbiage of the Russians hacked the election. It's like, no, they didn't hack the election. The people voted as they voted. We had a democratic process. Did Russia have a hand in the WikiLeaks thing? That's really the only thing they have to go on, and that's
right.
Yeah.
And the only reason, and the only way that would even be detrimental to Trump is if he was involved in the WikiLeaks thing with Russia.
Yeah, you'd have to draw a straight line between them having some involvement and not just benefiting from it.
Right.
I mean, Trump benefiting from it does not mean that he was involved in it. And again, I'm not trying to give a pass on things I don't know. I have no idea. But it's been months now, and everybody and their brother has been looking into this. And if there was a smoking gun, I would have thought they would have found something by now.
I think if Trump was really looking to cover it up, we would have seen a huge wipeout of, the employees. And if that's really what he was trying to do, it just doesn't seem like he's trying to stop an investigation.
I saw one of the CNN articles I read today. They actually brought up that Trump had called for Russia to hack Clinton's emails. That is not what he did. He made a joke about finding her lost emails, the ones that supposedly don't exist anymore. He did not call for them to hack her for her.
It was a joke because it was a joke about the fact that our FBI agents were having trouble finding her lost emails, and Russia seemed to be pretty good at it. So he was like, maybe they'll find the lost ones too. I don't know.
Yeah, but even if he had stood up on that podium and said, hey, Russia, do this thing, that's still not being complicit in any action, for fuck's sake. Oh, God. Anyway.
And it's also not colluding with Russia either, because...
No. I mean, is Trump the smartest politician in the world? Fuck no. I mean, he has set himself up for so much rhetorical landmines, both on the campaign trail and afterwards, that there's no helping him. But that's beside the point. Is there actually any evidence to show that there was anything to do with the Trump campaign feeding or coordinating or somehow conspiring with Russia to release those emails? And even if they did, I'm not sure what the crime is at that point, aside from it just being sort of dirty pool.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious to know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know for a fact, but it just, I mean, underhanded, sure. But then what was going on at the DNC over the course of the entire campaign?
Right. Well, with the DNC, that one is still internal, so it's not. I mean, they have to follow.
No, that's
FEC rules, but it's still their party. So if they want to, they can pick the party, even with having everybody vote, pick by alphabetical if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very hypocritical for them to be going, this is dirty. Look in the mirror, bitch.
Yeah.
But with this, there's just, and I'm not saying nothing will come out. Watergate didn't happen overnight, but what we have right now, the press is on a feeding frenzy for nothing.
Yeah, at least nothing that's tangible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is that the press has been looking for a reason to shout impeachment since day one.
Oh, they started before day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were like, okay, the second he gets into office, we can impeach because of this. Okay, it's gonna be fine because we can impeach. And it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. So
yeah, almost from the moment he became the president-elect, they started talking about how he owns businesses, so you can impeach him.
Yeah,
that's retarded. But anyway, sorry.
That's okay. So let's see. Other than that, the news day was kind of slow for like really dramatic news, but I did find quite a few interesting little stories aside that got overshadowed, of course. First, we have, I don't know how to pronounce this exactly, Bethune-Cookman. It's a college. Bethune-Cookman grads boo Betsy DeVos at commencement.
Oh.
Education Secretary Betsy DeVos faced an auditorium of jeering Bethune-Cookman University graduates Wednesday as she gave a commencement address that many students and graduates said she was in no place to deliver. As she opened her remarks, some students stood and turned their backs on her. At times, hecklers drowned her out with remarks. Perhaps foreseeing the resistance she'd faced during her speech, DeVos told the crowd, quote, "While we will undoubtedly disagree at times, I hope we can do so respectfully. Let's choose to hear one another out. I want to reaffirm this administration's commitment to and support for historically black colleges and universities and the students they serve." DeVos wrapped up her remarks in about 20 minutes. A huge chorus of boos erupted when DeVos was awarded an honorary doctorate, and again when she said she would visit the home of school founder Mary McLeod Bethune to pay her respects. Early in her speech, DeVos told the crowd, "One of the hallmarks of higher education and of democracy is the ability to converse with and learn from those with whom we disagree." At that point, the commencement became so rowdy that school president Edison Jackson interrupted DeVos's remarks to issue a warning to graduates. Quote, "If this behavior continues, your degrees will be mailed to you," he said. "Choose which way you want to go." Many of the standing graduates took their seats, but a few remained standing, prompting Jackson to implore them to sit down. The tone seemed to soften as DeVos continued, exhorting the students to embrace service as they enter the next phase of their lives. I'm still waiting to hear I don't know anything about Betsy DeVos, so, I see. Okay, they get to it. Hold on a second. Real pioneers remark follows DeVos, okay. Before DeVos's address, several students told CNN there was no place for her at commencement, and they're miffed they didn't have more say in picking a graduation speaker. A primary reason for protesting her appearance and for petitioning school officials to cancel her address is her now recanted statement that founders of almost choked on myself there. Out of myself. That sounds bad. I'm not quite that limber. Is her now recanted statement that founders of historically black colleges and universities were, quote, "real pioneers of school choice." Is that a bad thing?
What's the problem with that?
Let me read that again to make sure I got it clear.
Please do.
A primary reason for protesting her appearance is her now recanted statement that founders of historically black colleges and universities were, quote, "real pioneers of school choice." HBCUs, historically black college universities? HBCUs, okay. HBCUs, of course, were founded during segregation when black students were barred from attending white colleges in the South and beyond. DeVos walked back her comments, conceding the schools were born of racism, but it's not enough for many on this campus nor those who hold it dear.
I see what she was going for, and I can see how they say that's fucked up. But
yeah, okay.
Come on.
But it wasn't said in spite or something. Okay, I mean, it's historically inaccurate.
Yeah.
If you want to put it that way. It's like, yeah, they weren't founded because they wanted to. They were founded because of segregation. Okay, legit. She was off on that. But the spirit of what she was saying was a compliment, for God's sakes. Moving on. She's the Secretary of Education. Your job is to do research. Your job is to be committed to academia and know exactly what you're talking about, what context you're saying it in, said 1996 graduate Frederick Ingram, Vice President of the Florida Education Association.
I'd like to talk to him about history, see how many things he gets right.
Yeah. Asked if too much was made of her statement, he emphatically said no, calling her remark blatant ignorance. Okay.
Well, sure, it was blatant ignorance, but that doesn't mean you have to blow it out of proportion to where she can't speak. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of her. She's the one who told us we need guns in school because of bears.
Yes. Yeah.
Because of what?
Bears. I'm not making that up.
Okay.
She's reminding me of Michelle Bachmann, but more
Yeah.
maybe a watered down version of Michelle Bachmann. She said some crazy stuff or some, inaccurate things, but not.
During her confirmation hearing, she was asked about guns in schools, and she said that we might need them because there might be bears.
Yeah,
that's kind of adorable.
There was a bear attack near school at that time, so. But there's a lot of reasons not to like her. But for fuck's sake, she's giving a commencement address, not setting law at that point. You should be more worried about what she's doing back at the Department of Education than her little speech there, for fuck's sake.
I mean, she makes one comment, okay, it was historically inept. No question there. But at the same time, what was the intent of the comment, and what does it have to do with anything that you must now vilify her for it?
Or treat her so disrespectfully. Booing, standing up, turning your back. Come on.
Yeah, she didn't. Anyway. There's not much more to that story. They just kind of like keep going on a little bit. Let's see. What do I have next? Oh, yes. So I should have brought up this story a couple weeks ago when it first came out, but it was so weird and new. I wanted to wait for more information. So I'm going to read the story here in a second, but the high level stuff is that there was an FBI analyst who had been tasked with researching a particular ISIS terrorist. And consequently, she went and married the guy, which is a crazy story. And I'm dying to like read the tell-all novel about it, of course. But in the meantime, the story I found is Senate leader seeks answers in FBI's ISIS bride case. A leading U.S. senator on Wednesday asked FBI officials to explain how a rogue employee with top secret clearance traveled to Syria without their knowledge and married a prominent ISIS terrorist she had been assigned to investigate. That's not an illegitimate question. The whole story was so crazy. Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, sent a letter to top FBI and Justice Department officials, not James Comey, seeking more information on how the embarrassing national security breach occurred and how they responded to it. Grassley's letter was in response to an exclusive CNN report last week about the previously unknown saga of Daniela Green, an FBI translator. Green, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to, do we know the timing of this?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
I'm about to read it. You're turning into SDA.
No, I didn't know if I missed it already. That's why. I'm sorry. That's why I was asking.
It's okay. It's okay. IS, SDA.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You breathed?
No.
Okay.
Green. Wait.
Green. Yep. Yes.
No, continue.
She's just being an ass right now. Continue.
Is she? Thanks, monkey. I wasn't aware. Green traveled to Syria in 2014 without the FBI's knowledge and married Dennis Cuspert, a former German rapper turned ISIS recruiter. Green told the terrorist he was under investigation by the FBI, according to federal court records. Green, 38, returned to the U.S. within weeks of marrying Cuspert and began cooperating with federal authorities. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison and was released last summer. The details of her cooperation remain shrouded in court-ordered secrecy. Green declined to discuss her case with CNN. Grassley has been one of the FBI's fiercest critics over the years, criticizing misconduct and disciplinary problems and pushing for greater legal protection for internal whistleblowers who report abuses. In his letter addressed to Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein and Acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, Grassley asked a series of questions about Green's actions, FBI oversight, and how the Justice Department's decision to argue for a reduced sentence. Quote, how and when did the FBI become aware that Green had engaged in a romantic relationship with Cuspert? Please explain how this relationship developed without the FBI's knowledge.
Thank you, Sanguine.
Ooh, Sanguine.
Sanguine says, well, she knew everything about him, so the courtship was easy.
That's probably true. Let's see. What's a good product? Name a product. Randomly.
Catnip.
Okay. This stream is brought to you by Sanguine. When you want to make your cats crazy, try Sanguine. Or this broadcast is brought to you by Sanguine. When you want to drive a pussy wild, try Sanguine.
There you go. Well done.
Yes, that's basically the story. It's just Grassley's.
Okay, with everything going on with Comey and can't fire him, this happened under his watch.
It did.
This woman should have been tried for treason.
It also happened under Obama's watch.
True. She should have been tried for treason, and she ended up with 2 years.
She must have had some really good stuff to hand over in exchange.
Oh, I bet she did.
Although at that point, I wouldn't think it should buy her much since she was a FBI employee to begin with. Not much quarter should have been given to a federal employee doing that, but that's just me.
Yeah, that is ridiculous, and people should be fired and jailed for that.
You would think. And of course, it only came out now, even though this happened. She just got out of jail for this that happened years ago, and we're only finding out about it now. So, I do remember hearing a story about how the information she provided the government was, quote unquote, exceedingly valuable. So whether that, I don't know what that means. We'll probably never know what that means, but
see, that's fine. But valuable information, you cut the sentence from 25 years down to 5 at least. Okay. Not 2 years. That's a slap on the fucking wrist. Well, this cunt was hired, had the specific job of monitoring this guy, and she went off and married him.
Yeah. And then gave him information that was pertinent to, confidential and covert activities. It's like, yeah.
Fuck her. And fuck the people who let her off.
ISIS sure did. Let's see. So
ISIS PD got a touch of that.
Now we've got news story potpourri.
Oh,
you guys get to pick what I do next. So we've got.
You mean that I get to pick?
Yeah, she always picks.
Okay, then SDA, you get to pick. Here's your options. I'll just give the buzzwords: Snapchat, Disneyland DUI, church shooter. Let's see.
Ooh, church shootings.
You want the church shootings? Church shootings? church.
Yeah, that.
Okay. Well, then we also have cultural appropriation and Marvel Comics, but you wanted the church shooting, so here we go.
That sounds like the least fun.
Yeah, it's probably true. Dylan Roof had his first appeal of his death sentence for killing 9 people in a racist attack on praying worshipers in a Charleston church rejected Wednesday by the same judge who presided at his trial. Excuse me. U.S. District Judge Richard Gergel. Okay. Richard Gergel also ordered the release of hundreds of pages of Dylan Roof's psychological records as well Wednesday. They included Roof's insistence that he would rather die than have an autism diagnosis made public. And he wanted a federal trial so his picture and what he thought was his unusually large forehead would be kept off television.
I agree with him. That is an unusually large forehead.
I would rather die than be called an autist. Oh boy.
So what we do to punish him properly is just have somebody stand there shouting autism at him all day.
Yay.
Yay.
Do you think he'll start licking the windows if we do that?
I bet he's already started.
Oh, God. The schnozberries taste like schnozberries. In his first appeal, Roof argued that his crime didn't fit the definition of interstate commerce needed to make a federal case because he bought the gun and bullets in South Carolina and did not travel out of state to the church. But Gergel ruled Roof used a telephone to call the church, GPS to find it, and the bullets and gun were manufactured in a different state, blah, blah, blah. The 23-year-old white supremacist is expected to file other appeals, something his lawyer David Bruck spoke about in a contemporary competency hearing. And that's basically the story. And yeah, the appeals will go on for the next decade, and he won't actually face the death penalty.
Well, I guess the autism thing would be the reason why that's relevant is because we can't kill retarded people.
Yes, it could be used as circumstances to preclude the death penalty. It's true.
Right, in case anybody was wondering why it matters.
Yes. Yeah, it does matter, but again, the appeals will be ongoing, and we won't hear anything about any finality to this for years.
How did that conversation go? All right, well, we can get you off the death penalty if we tell everybody that you're an autist. And he was like, you know what? Just let them kill me.
No, they said, okay, it's either going to be we tell everybody you're an autist or the death penalty. And Roof looked at them and said, Ree! And he did the little crab dance.
I don't care.
I know.
I'm not fully on with the death penalty because there can be mistakes, but we know he did it. It's the law in that state. Fry his ass.
Yeah, I'm still against the death penalty even in this case, but
I'm against the death penalty. I'm against it in general because I don't think that killing one person rightfully is worth accidentally, being wrong ever. I mean, even if you have 1,000 people that you kill and only one is wrong, I don't think it's worth it for the rest of them. And also, it costs so much money for us to kill people with the appeals process and all that kind of stuff.
See, that's why I say with him, skip the appeal process, put him in a big rubber band, and fire him in.
Well, unfortunately, it's still autistic people have rights too. So
throw him into the sun.
Killed 9 people. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Roadrunner his ass.
Okay, so we got Marvel Comics, we've got cultural appropriation, we have Disney DUI, and we have Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Snap, the parent company of Snapchat, whiffed on sales numbers and what?
Snap is the parent company of Snapchat.
That's true.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. You learn something new every day. See?
I found it amusing.
Okay. The parent company of Snapchat whiffed on sales numbers and posted a staggering loss in its first earnings report since going public in March. So the company went public in March. Can you guess how much it was in loss of in this 2 months?
Sorry,
what?
5 billion.
SDA, do you have a guess?
Like 5.2 billion.
Well, you're both wrong, but SDA came sort of closest in a way. The company reported a net loss of $2.2 billion for the quarter, due in large part to $2 billion in compensation costs tied to going public.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went public, so now we have to pay out all of our people in compensation for the... so going public was more expensive than if they had... even without the one-time cost, however, Snap's loss doubled from the same quarter a year earlier. Snap posted sales of $149.6 million for the March quarter, far below Wall Street estimates. Its user numbers also came in light. Snap had 166 million daily active users in the March quarter, an addition of just 8 million from the previous quarter. Its stock fell as much as 25% in after-hours trading Wednesday, erasing nearly all the gains since it went public at $17 a share. Evan Spiegel, Snap's secretive 26-year-old CEO, oh Jesus, told analysts on a conference call that he thinks about user growth, quote, through the lens of creativity. Oh, is he 26 years old? I can't believe it. Jesus.
Yeah.
I think that broke Scribe.
I think about user growth through the lens of creativity. What does that mean?
That means
maybe you should stick to developing the software and let.
Well, Spiegel continued. Here we go. So
let the adults do the thingy.
Maybe this will clarify it. Quote: the more that we can remove friction from this creative process, the more that people want to use this service, and that's our strategy.
What?
The fuck does that mean?
The more that we can remove friction from this creative process, remove friction. So you're talking about
process.
Yeah, Snapchat is just taking pictures, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what is it like? Our creative team for the latest filter.
Yeah, the filters and here's a dick pic
today.
Yeah. Here we go. The vague response did little to ease Snap's nosediving stock. No shit.
No shit.
Ever since Snap publicly filed its IPO paperwork, there have been concerns about the young company's mounting losses, lofty valuation, and the lack of voting rights for shareholders. Oh, interesting. But leading up to the earnings report, all eyes were on the one deadly sin for an internet company, slowing user growth. Quote, the number one question we receive about Snap is, can it sustain its user growth and how big can it be? Ralph Scheckert, an analyst with William Blair, wrote in an investor note this month. Snapchat added just 5 million daily active users in the final 3 months of last year, down from at least 10 million added in each of the previous 4 quarters. That slowdown coincided with Facebook owned Instagram launching a Snapchat copycat feature. Aha. So, yeah, that's mostly the story. Everything else is kind of supplementary.
If I had stock in Snapchat, I would sell it all just based on his comments.
Yes.
That's fucking retarded.
That is the silliest thing. Now, admittedly, if you had told me the CEO said this, I'd be like, put that person in a padded cell. But then if you told me, oh, by the way, they're also 26, I'd be like, oh, who the fuck thought it was a good idea to invest with this guy?
Yep.
That'd be my next little statement, because yes, there are young CEOs. There are some very successful young CEOs. Some do much better than others. Zuckerberg is one of them. You just hurt right now?
Yeah.
Is that time of the month?
No. Well, no.
Oh, no. Well, no. You had to think about it for a second. You weren't sure.
You can have a very good CEO at 26, but this guy sounds like he made that comment high as a motherfucker.
Well, either that or he's one of those guys that got away with, like, I remember in the early .com days, there's a couple of documentaries that are kind of like this. One is just called .com. That's really good. That was in the early days of the boom. And there was this disconnect between people who had no knowledge of what the internet was or how it worked, and the startup guys who would come in and just paint this crazy picture. And there was some kind of deference given to this, corporate speak, hippie-ish sort of creativity on the march kind of language. Mm-hmm. That somehow translated into, oh, this person is a visionary or something. I would have thought that we'd be a bit more jaded at this point after so many years and so many spectacular failures in this regard. But yeah, I'm curious to know. I'm going to try to find if there's any other recorded comments or speeches from the CEO in the past and what he said about such things before. He's got to have done some kind of like conference or some kind of speech tour or something.
Well, regarding the .com boom and bust, back then the internet was new, and they actually thought this was some kind of new artistic expression, and you could get away that regular marketing would fail here for some reason.
Yeah.
With these guys like Snapchat, these investors get just enamored with how many users they have. But users don't necessarily mean
money.
Buyers.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a lot of people who use Snapchat, but unless you have a good way to monetize that,
right,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And also everybody's also enamored with the idea that if they get it on the ground floor of this thing, it could be the next Facebook, it could be the next Instagram or whatever else that they can try to. And I understand that. I mean, somebody investing in a company, they don't necessarily care whether or not they survive, just as long as whatever I invest in now, by the time I sell, it's doubled. And I can just walk away even if the company crashes a month later. So the best time to sell Snapchat stock would have been 3 days after its opening.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Disney DUI, cultural appropriation, and Marvel Comics.
Cultural appropriation.
All right. Damien Hirst accused of copying African art at Venice Biennale. I'm guessing that I'm probably saying that completely wrong, and it's probably a museum. But anyway, English artist Damien Hirst has been accused of cultural appropriation after his exhibition Treasures from the Wreck of the Unbelievable featured a golden head that appears to mirror sculpted heads created by African artists from Ile-Ife, Nigeria. Quote, for the thousands of viewers seeing this for the first time, they won't think Ife, they won't think Nigeria. Nigerian visual artist Victor Ikamanor wrote on his Instagram page, along with a picture he took of Hirst's golden head behind glass. And it looks like, you remember in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan goes to that planet that's got the big hole in the ground, and that spiky tooth guy comes out?
Tooth guy?
The big tall guy with the cane that's like got gray skin. He's got those lines down his face.
Yes.
That's kind of what the art looks like. It's a human face with like it's golden. It's got lines down it.
What are they called?
Those are called the Powans. In the Star Wars, that's what that race is called, the Powans or the Powans or something. Because the Inquisitor in Rebels was one of them. Once you get to Rebels, you'll find out.
I think I spelled it wrong.
If I'm understanding this correctly, the guy's bitching that the artist's work won't be mistaken for something else.
Yes, and it is an original piece of art. I mean, it's not like he stole something and put his name on it. It is a original piece of art that is just very similar to other kinds of art.
And that's a problem because...
Well, I guess let's continue. Quote, their young ones will grow up to know this work as Damien Hirst's. The narrative will shift, and the young Ife or Nigerian contemporary artist will someday be told by a long-nosed critic, your work reminds me of Damien Hirst's Golden Head, wrote Eichenhammer, who with Hirst is exhibiting this year at the Venice Biennale. So he's competition for you? Is that it?
Yeah. Go figure.
It's about time these things get appropriately credited, he said. Hearst declined to talk with CNN, instead referring questions through a spokesperson to curator Elena Guena. I can't say that. The label inside the cabinet on Hearst's piece reads, Golden Heads Female, and the Kingdom of Ife is referenced there and in the guide. Okay, so he referenced his inspiration.
It's still his original work. What the fuck?
This is about as petty and bullshit as you can imagine. And this is something else. I saw this story the other day. I wish I'd kept it. There was a Canadian artist who had done a gallery opening showcasing her work that was inspired by indigenous art. And someone there accused her of cultural genocide.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And well, that's a little bit more melodramatic.
Just a bit. And I posted that and I said something to the effect of, well, of course, when you're inspired by something, you destroy that something. That's why when I did my first TEDx video, Skeptor died. Because that's where I got the idea to do a TEDx video, is because Skeptor did this series on his channel a long time ago when he first started that I just thought was excellent, and I really liked that, and that's what inspired me to do my first TEDx video. So yes, when you get inspired by something, remember, kids, if you do anything with that inspiration, that thing that inspired you, you killed it. Congratulations. It dies. It's like Death Note or the Monkey's Paw.
I'm so sick of cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I am too. I wish people would stop doing it. Right?
I'm really curious. Did this person speak in English or was this translated?
It doesn't say. It just quotes them. Okay, so we got two left. We got Disney DUI and we got Marvel Comics. SDA.
Oh.
Have you forgotten your place, woman?
She's flirting with Gutenberg. Stop it.
DUI.
Yeah. Disney DUI. Okay. Cops. DUI suspect who struck a family returning from Disneyland had been deported 15 times.
Jesus
Christ.
A mother, father...
Damn it, monkey.
All together now.
Jinx.
A mother... Jinx. The dog. A mother, father, and their 6-year-old son were returning from a trip to Disneyland when, according to the survivor's family, a man in a pickup truck turned a corner, smashed into their car, and sped off. The suspect, Constantino Banda Acosta, was a man that border agents say had been deported 15 times over the span of 15 years. In a statement provided to CNN, ICE confirms that Banda Acosta, quote, has been repatriated to Mexico at least 15 times since 2002, most recently in January 2017.
Of course.
He and another man arrested in connection with the crash were both Mexican nationals in the country illegally, the statement said. ICE is planning to take Banda Acosta into custody once he is released by San Diego police, who arrested him. He was charged with DUI, hit and run, and driving without a license. The crash happened Saturday in San Isidro? I don't know how to say that. The family was a block away from its home when the car was struck by a truck that blew a stop sign. The back seat on the driver's side took the brunt of the impact. That's where the couple's 6-year-old son, Lennox, was sitting. Lennox was taken to Rady's Children's Hospital with serious head injuries. A representative of the hospital said the boy is listed in serious condition. San Isidro, the area in San Diego where the crash occurred, is about as close as one can get to the U.S.-Mexico border. In fact, the neighborhood goes right up to the border in some places, and even its northernmost reaches are about 2 miles away from it. And that's the story. So, yeah.
Well, that was sad.
Yeah, I hope the kid's okay.
Me too.
We should deport him again.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll work. Okay, lastly, this one that I found just before the stream started. I'm just going to read the headline. It really doesn't, and then the first paragraph, because there's not much else to say. Why Marvel's America Chavez is the name of a character in the Marvel universe, who comes from an alternate dimension, identifies as Latinx.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So good.
What?
I know. Hold on. She's beauty. And I'm quoting, I'm reading the thing now. I'm not saying this myself. She's beauty. She's grace. She's an interdimensional being with a fondness for the American flag. And in this week's issue of Marvel's America, we finally learn how America Chavez came to identify herself as a Latinx woman.
Because she was written by a white guy?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. Yeah, this character, I know very little about her. I haven't read the comic books in a long time, but apparently she is the first, what is it they called her? Queer Latina, I guess Latinx superhero. Marvel's first queer Latinx superhero. Oh, and also in her first issue, she time travels to World War II, pushes Captain America aside, and punches Hitler instead of him.
Of course she does.
Because, we need to rewrite history because reasons.
I have a question.
Comic book history.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
How involved is Stanley still involved with?
No,
okay.
No. So Stanley.
Stanley
is. His relationship with Marvel is complicated because all the characters he wrote and created and everything else were done as work for hire contracts. So everything he did was owned by Marvel. He became an executive at the company. He was so closely identified with the company that he's essentially tied to Marvel as sort of like a mascot almost. There's been numerous court cases over the years trying to establish rights to characters or royalties and everything else. And last I heard, many of those had either been settled or otherwise dealt with. The same was true for Jack Kirby over many, many years because of all the characters he created and all the work he did, Doctor Strange and the New Gods and God knows how many other characters he created. So Stan Lee's name is on a lot of Marvel stuff. In fact, I think some comic books still open up with saying they give a summary of the character or the situation, and it says Stan Lee presents, even though Stan Lee doesn't have anything to do with the comic books anymore. So,
yeah, she was invented by Joe Casey and Nick Dragata.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Who writes the? She's got her own comic book now. I wonder who writes that.
I'm not sure who's writing it now, but yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's all the stories I had that were semi-serious. The other ones were ones that I complained about today, between how Doctor Doom is apparently being portrayed and also a Dread TV series is in the works.
Who's Doctor Doom?
Main bad guy in the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
No,
I need.
You were going to give him a stroke. Not the good kind.
I know who that is.
Dr. Doom. You do not even have an idea who Dr. Doom is.
She says she knows who he is.
I know who he is.
Because I told her.
Okay.
No, I was just trying to make sure.
Okay.
You don't have to overreact to everything.
Well, yeah, I do. It's entertaining. People like it.
It is entertaining.
Yeah, it's, my melodrama is completely entertaining to people. So don't worry, people. I'm usually just acting.
Everybody gives Scribe money so he can buy a fainting couch.
Well played. Well played.
Nice.
There is a $sign in the lower left of your chat if you'd like to donate to Scribe's fainting couch.
Yeah, or just for my street corner worthy performance of crying like a bitch.
No,
or help him get some alcohol for when SDA says things that hurt him.
Speaking of which, a completely different subject. I was trying to sort of expand my drinking horizons the other day because I was like, I'm going to get something to have in the back of the fridge for just like relaxing and all that stuff. And I was looking around for something different. I don't drink beer. I only do hard alcohol once in a blue moon kind of thing. But otherwise I'll have like wine cooler type level stuff. That's why I had that Smirnoff stuff a couple weeks ago. And I saw there was this box of sort of like pseudo margarita stuff. It was like margarita in a can kind of deal.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
It's called Strawberita, I think.
Yep.
And I bought a box of this, not realizing at the time that I bought it that it was a Bud Light or Budweiser product. Mm-hmm. And when I got home and I was like, oh geez, thank you, Miss Slim One or Miss Limmy. Here's some money for Scribe's fainting couch. I appreciate it. I need to lounge. My back needs the support. And so does my drama. So I bought a box of this stuff, and it's bad. I mean, it's not awful. I mean, I remember drinking like wine coolers, like Bartles and James type stuff. That was sort of like, it was strawberry or apple or something, some kind of just candy-ish.
I always liked peach wine coolers, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, peach is good, but this stuff, I mean, like I haven't had beer in a long time, but there's this initial pre-taste or something to it that reminds me of drinking a Budweiser, even though it doesn't taste like Budweiser, but it's got this sort of pseudo tequila strawberry taste to it, and it got me tipsy, but it just tasted bad. It just and so I don't know if maybe I've had margaritas before and they're fine. I don't like freak out or nothing, but anyway, Jordan 250, a little extra to add a pillow to that fainting couch. Oh, by the way, I forgot name a product.
Tennis shoes.
Oh, okay. This broadcast is brought to you by Ms. Slim One. For better arch support, try Ms. Slim One.
There you go.
And then we had Jordan. So give me another one.
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste. Okay. Okay. This broadcast is brought to you by Jordan 250. Do you want your teeth as white as your privilege? Try Jordan 250.
Nice.
Okay.
That strawberry stuff sells really well to college girls.
Yeah, we in college.
It is nasty.
Yeah, in college we called that kind of stuff that wasn't wine and it wasn't hard liquor. We called it bitch beer. And so that's what I call it bitch beer. And so like Smirnoff and any like Mike's Hard Lemonade, that kind of stuff we called bitch beer. Hard cider we just called hard cider, but anything that was sort of fruity flavored or wine cooler ish was bitch beer. Anyway, that was just a complete different subject.
There's some wine cooler, and I'm okay with that. I like it when it tastes like Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I mean, if it tastes like fruit juice that's just got a little bit of a kick to it, that's what I was expecting. But there's that weird, slightly tequila but not tequila taste to it mixed with the strawberry that just didn't.
Scribbles, are you reading chat?
Now I am. Why? What happened?
Apparently, SDA has a Korean smush cookie.
Is this someone that you smuggled across the border? My smush cookie might be Korean.
Afro taint.
No, it has nothing.
Zima. Oh yeah, somebody said Zima. Jim said Zima. That's right. Zima is also in the bitch beer category. Scribe Light, I thought you didn't drink. I don't drink on a regular basis. It's just like a once in a while kind of thing. And in hard liquor, like I'll buy a bottle of Jack Daniels maybe once every 3 or 4 months or something if I get the urge to, and then work on that for a couple of weeks. But I don't drink that often.
Thank you, True Backup Gamer, who says a tissue box to add beside your new sofa.
Oh,
am I tissues?
It's a couch.
Am I roboting or are you guys roboting?
You're roboting.
Am I?
You're roboting.
Oh shit.
It's not too horrible from what I can hear.
It was just the once.
Testing.
No, you're fine.
No problem.
Okay. So given what was in the message, this broadcast is brought to you by True Backup Gamer. Is your nose running? Try True Backup Gamer. Because of the tissue box thing,
No, I got you.
Okay.
I got it.
Just making sure. I just want to make sure. Okay. So anyway, that was my completely unrelated side story about Strawberryta. I don't like it. Maybe somebody else does. There you go. The end.
Yeah. If you're going to drink real stuff.
Yeah.
Drink stuff that'll make you regret it the next day.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. I do not advocate drinking to excess on the Monkey channel, Monkey Streams, Scribe's channel, or SDH channel. We that would be bad. No,
drink responsibly and make sure you're 21 before you start doing it.
Indeed, because we all did.
Yeah, I did. I didn't drink anything until after literally on the day I hit 21.
You're more straight edge than I am, and I'm pretty bad.
I was not straight edge.
Straight edge.
Straight
you
edge.
Have a Korean cooch. The way I understand it, that's a little slanted.
Oh,
thank you.
It's a little off kilter.
By the way, yes, we haven't mentioned monkey dick yet, and it's been brought up a few times. Monkey dick.
What race is your dick, monkey?
Oh, Jesus.
It's white boy.
No, it's The Amazing Race.
It's The Amazing Race.
You need a lot of stamina to deal with monkey dick.
No, The Amazing Race is fake as fuck. My dick ain't fake.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
It's all real, baby.
Gross.
You brought it up.
Yeah.
Don't get upset when you encourage me and I take it places you don't like it. That's on you.
All right, so it's discuss videos time. You guys work on anything?
I'm still working on my one from yesterday because I got distracted by that moronic vegan gains one.
Oh yeah, and then you have an upcoming event maybe. Did you want to talk about that? Okay.
Vegan Gains and Roaming Millennial have had a little tiff back and forth because Roaming Millennial made her video and Vegan Gains made a response. And it's your typical crazy Vegan Gains bullshit. And Roaming invited him to debate her. He said he wouldn't do it unless he was allowed to bring his buddy Ask Yourself, who, by the way, you should watch his stuff. It's funny as shit for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, so knowing how it is to deal with vegans and not wanting to drag anybody else into it, and since I had already inserted myself into it, she asked me if maybe I would want to stream with her, which I said yes to. And Vegan Games kind of seems like he's backed out, but it's hard to tell.
Surprise.
So what'll happen is Saturday at 11:30. If everything stays like it is right now, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, I will be on with Roaming Millennial, and there may or may not be vegans involved.
If they don't show up, will you just like have a conversation with Roaming?
Yeah, we were going to just talk about the video and the reaction to it, because the reaction to it has been really fucking crazy. They are all so pissed off that she didn't attack veganism.
Okay.
She was actually very complimentary to veganism. Her whole premise was that a lot of vegans are fucking annoying. And the reason that they are like that, and again, hashtag not all, but the reason they're like that is because veganism, more than probably any other SJW type fad, is a fucking religion for these people, because to them it absolutely is an ethical question. It's a question of morality. You are murdering animals. And when that is your underlying belief, it is very easy to become fanatical about it. I mean, they literally believe they are saving beings who, in many cases, they think they're greater than humans. So I get why they're like that. It's insane, but it does make them it does lend itself very well to zealotry. And you can see that in the comments of my latest videos.
Yay.
Yay. Or go over to hers. Hers is so much worse than mine is.
How many, I'll confess, I've never watched a Roaming Millennial video that wasn't something that was referencing somebody else's stuff. How many subscribers does she have? What's her audience like, do you know?
160 some thousand.
All right. Now she was mentioned in a Lacey Green video. Was that her claim to fame?
No.
No.
What happened is she used Lacey Green's picture in a thumbnail.
Oh, right.
Lacey Green did a copyright strike on it after one of Lacey's fans reported it to Lacey on Twitter.
Right.
Roman Millennial made a video about that. It was picked up by Phil DeFranco and
yeah, so Streisand effect, and thus, yeah. It's okay. All right. SDA, are you working on anything?
Well, Monkey's Vegan decided that he wanted to come bother me.
Okay, Monkey's Vegan.
Yeah, I picked up this fucking weirdo. He's the guy I made the second video on.
Oh, the one in black and white?
Yes. Sorry, SDA. My bad. That's what you get for all the MGTOWs you brought me.
Why did he go to SDA's channel?
You know what? I don't know, because I haven't even made a video about vegans yet.
Because I wouldn't pay attention to him.
Oh. And so if he goes after your obvious friend because of what we do here, then we'll get back to you. Ooh, how sneaky.
Yeah, he makes quite a bit of mention to me in that video too. He actually titled it what is it? SDA can't argue against veganism even with help from Ranting Monkey.
Oh.
Yeah, some very long, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, but what are you going to do?
Well, it's good to know that he's a he for she proponent.
Yes. He's such a douche. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, I guess I'll address it because it's kind of funny. And you did a good job with the vegan gains video, and I really don't feel like touching it.
I don't blame you. That's that's a carton of crazy not everybody should get into. Not saying I should either, but whoops, can't unfuck a pregnant lady.
Well, not unless you kick her in the stomach.
True.
I am not advocating
Jesus.
violence on anybody. Yeah, well, I know. It got pretty dark pretty quick, you know. But anyway, what was I going to say?
I mean, I know you're into beating people, but good Lord.
Yeah, not that. I've never done a video on not a direct sort of religion. You know, and veganism kind of sounds like a religion. Or a faith system, I suppose, except for, well, I guess Islam, but it's usually not about like the religion itself. It's about the things they say. I feel kind of weird trying to analyze somebody's, you know, a belief system in a way, you know, like that.
Something that he says in the video, and this is pretty much he says it more than once because I guess padding the runtime or something. But one thing that he says about me was that I said, you know, if you're a vegan and you have to use emotional manipulation to make your arguments, then maybe your arguments aren't that strong. And he acted like
that's Peter.
Whoa. Peter, it's the Peter.
You can ask a question.
Peter.
Peter. Oh, there's got to be something you want to know. I mean, unless that was the joke. Unless that was the joke. I need a product for Peter. What's a good product for Peter?
Condoms.
Oh, okay.
Peter, condoms go together.
Get it.
We went over this before, a long time ago. Peter is another word for penis.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, true. This broadcast is brought to you by Peter Silac Hades 313. To keep out the diseases, try Peter Silac Hades 313.
There you go. So anyway, what was he saying about your comment?
He was saying, like, oh, so if I make a claim and then I use video evidence to prove it, like, that's wrong? What? I was like, that's not what I said. So that was pretty much his point.
Was this because of my comment about all their videos of animals being tortured?
Yes, yeah, and I said in response to that during the stream, you know, if you have to use emotional manipulation to make your point, maybe your point's not that strong. Because shouldn't your points be able to hold up with just logic without being like, but look how sad this is.
Yeah,
right? That makes sense to me. And then later on, when he talks about it again, he's like, I want to know why she thinks this, you know, just as a logical person.
Well, this is the guy who his original reply to me consisted of, bigger channels are going to come make you look stupid because you're stupid. And that's about it.
You're stupid.
Pretty much.
This is the same guy who said that I shouldn't attack logical arguments. I should attack crazy people. And yes, unhinged vegan or whatever the fuck her name is crazy.
Oh, boy.
So
eating their own. No true Scotsman.
Yeah. I should attack the crazy people. By the way, the person you attacked that I'm now defending is absolutely crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. Fucking moron. And he got so pissed off about this. He's made 2 replies to that since, and he's really mad because I won't watch him.
How does he know you haven't watched him?
Because I told him.
Oh,
and then I had every plan to watch him, but as soon as I realized that it pissed him off that I wasn't, now I'm not going to do it because that's who I am, and I'm okay with it. Don't give me that kind of ammo when you're being a dick. Plus, his first response doesn't lend itself to make me think that anything he says is going to be smart.
Well, that's why
in his video to SDA today, he keeps referencing this debate I ran away from. There was no debate. He made a video. I responded calling him an idiot. End of debate.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes it sound like we had agreed to some debate and I backed out of it. I wouldn't give him the time of day for that because he's a fucking moron. His argument was, you're stupid. That's not a fucking argument. That's an insult, which you're fine to throw. But at least back it up with some fucking argument.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think even if this quote unquote debate Saturday actually happens, I'm not sure what the utility of it is, because it'll just end up probably being a shouting match, I think.
Well, somebody asked this on Twitter, and my honest answer to that is debate is good even if you're debating a zealot.
Sure.
Is it going to change anything? Probably not. Is it going to anybody watching going to change their mind? No.
Yeah. But I mean, it'll be fun.
Right. Entertaining.
By that same token, I've had several responses on my video about vegan gains with people who said, you know, I was on his side until you made your argument, because he stopped it at, you know, vegan gains. The argument that I commented on was him saying that if you give your money to the meat industry, then you're responsible for what the meat industry does.
Right.
And if that's true, then vegan gains giving his money to any meat eater is guilty by association, because he is providing for them to be able to buy that meat.
Right. And whatever is, I don't even know what his name is. Whatever the
Logan
guy
is what I call him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever he said, he was like, you don't understand supply and demand, because the point of veganism is that we all don't want meat anymore. And then ta-da, no more meat industry, which sure, but also chocolate.
Well, again, the same principle applies. If meat eaters didn't have the money to buy meat, then the industry would dry up, because there would be nobody to buy the product. They wouldn't have the money for it. So sorry, there is no way using, and remember, this is not my logic. This is his logic. Mm-hmm. I am just following it through to the logical end, that if I'm guilty for it, then him giving me money that allows me to do it makes him just as guilty, because he knows I'm a meat eater.
Right.
So if any money of his ever comes to me, then he just supported me eating meat. The only vegans to be truly the holy people they think they are is to move completely off fucking grid and do everything, literally everything themselves, because they could never be sure that that money was not going to a meat eater. Mm-hmm. And again, that's using their logic.
Right.
Don't bring a fucking ethical argument to me like that. That's so fucking stupid.
Don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Well, this is the other thing, is that, and this is why I said this, because one of his arguments in the video, not vegan gains, what do you call him?
His name is Logan Blake.
Okay. So Logan, whatever, said, he was like, you know, because I said it comes down to a purely subjective ethical argument, because it does. It comes down to whether or not you think that it's okay to kill an animal and eat them as food. Mm-hmm. And that's what it boils down to. And I get that for vegans, it's a clear no, but I think it's completely debatable.
Well, most of society thinks it's debatable. If you look at the number of vegans or vegetarians throughout the world, the highest number is in India, and they're only at about 40%. And that's using the very highest polling data, 40%.
Right, and
most of the world is under 10.
And it's completely subjective. It's a completely subjective argument, because, you know, it just comes down to whether or not you think it's okay to eat a cow. I don't think there's a problem with it. Mm-hmm.
No, anything that's morality based, including murder, is subjective, because unless you believe in like a god or something, because it's what we decide as a society is okay.
Yeah.
And that does change. I mean, at one time in the United States, slavery was okay. And it's okay to have the conversations about it. But when you're doing so, you also have to admit that it is a moral conversation. And just because you think it's important morally doesn't mean everybody else does, or that they should. You need to present something a little more interesting if you want to sway me, because usually ethical arguments don't sway me unless we're talking about people. And that's not to say I think animals should be mistreated. I kill them quick. But I don't know if you killed that slow. That hamburger tastes the same to me.
Actually, if it's stressed out, it'll be gross. But
I don't want him to suffer, but I'm still gonna fucking eat meat.
Like cattle, and it doesn't. I mean, that's what it's for. Cows literally don't exist in the wild, not the domestic kind that we eat. They're not a thing outside of the meat industry and dairy industry.
Yeah,
they're kind of like dogs.
Big, slow, dumb animals.
Dogs and domesticated livestock and all that kind of stuff. We made them on purpose. So I just don't have a problem with it. And I get it if you do, that's fine. But
that's your morality, not mine.
Yeah, and like I said, to them that's non-negotiable, but for a lot of people it is. So and a lot of them seem to think that if they say, well, you're raping and murdering a bunch of things, you'll go, oh, well, excuse me. They don't expect you to be like, if you want to put it that way, sure.
Yeah. Well, somebody just asked, why do vegans have an issue with milk? And part of it, there's actually an argument out there that cows are raped to get milk.
They're raped and then the babies are taken away.
Yeah, and then they get murdered. So rape and murder. You can't murder an animal. It's not what murder means. Pretty sure you kill a cow, they stop giving you milk. Thank you for that.
What'd she say?
She said, pretty sure if you kill a cow, they stop giving you milk.
Depends on what your definition of milk is.
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
What?
There isn't.
I was admittedly being gross there. That's okay.
There's a great video. Logan, I forget his full name. You guys can go look it up if you want to, but his full name on YouTube is the town he lives in, personal trainer, and then Logan Blake. I forget the name of the town he lives in, but
personal trainer Logan Blake.
Yeah. I want to say Tropicals. I can't.
Tropic Thunder personal trainer Logan Blake.
Yes, yeah, it's something like that. And he made a video where he called the entire town racist and sexist.
Oh, good.
So he had to make another video apologizing for it. And it's awesome to watch. Because I didn't mean to. I was just being. I was upset.
Yeah.
Hey, shut up, dummy.
I had a question.
Thunder Bay. Thank you for
Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay personal trainer. Okay.
Logan Blake.
Jesus.
It's literally Thunder Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thunder Bay.
I thought that was a joke.
No, that's the town he lives in.
Oh
I said Tropic Thunder, but I had a question for listening to all that. Monkey, of all of the, you might have been asked this before. I think you might have been. Of all the subjects that you've covered, which one would you want to like have a debate / discussion with?
I have to go beat my wife. She's playing music back there.
Oh, well, I can empathize.
You've had to beat your wife before?
No, I've just beaten your wife before.
No, I would probably feminism itself.
I don't know who that is.
The feminist arguments would be the ones I'd prefer to, because you asked me what subject, right?
Oh, sorry. What person? I call
person.
I call the people that I do things on subjects. So what
Riley Dennis.
Riley Dennis.
Oh, I want to talk to it too.
But he's not allowed to leave until a time frame is up, and he has to talk. He has to actually answer. No taking breaks to go look stuff up.
I mean, just like the scenario is all, everything is exactly as you would hope it would be for a fair discussion. Yeah,
I would just like to discuss it. Yeah, I would love to sit down and discuss with him what the fuck he's thinking, because I don't believe for a minute he believes it.
Okay. SDA, do you have a favorite person you would like to talk to in a reasonable manner?
I would probably also go with Riley Dennis. And
wow.
Well, but the reason for that is just, out of all the people I think you can cover, he's about as crazy as it gets.
Okay.
And he's about as social, because he ticks all the social justice boxes pretty, except if he just got a tan, then he'd be in business. But
spray tan.
I mean, it's just what kind of convinced me that he would be interesting to talk to, not only because he's crazy, but it's just that one clip where he's like, I'm so gay.
I'm so gay. No, you're really not.
Because because sometimes you wonder, do you think he means it?
Who is he trying to convince, basically?
Yeah, and then you watch that and you're like, he thinks he's so gay.
Mm-hmm.
No, he does. That is him doing what he thinks is gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he thinks he's actually gay.
Communist in Space asked, you wouldn't want to debate communism? No, history already did that and kicked communism's ass.
I don't want to debate a commie. Commies aren't people anyway.
But, yeah. I think for most anti-SJW channels, Riley would be the holy grail of conversations.
Yeah, I mean, because he's literally a walking caricature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you think of an SJW, just because even a lot of the crazy SJWs like Lacey Green or something like that, they're still not a non-binary clusterfuck.
Right, yeah.
And he's an actual non-binary clusterfuck.
It's like he's trying desperately to live the cliches.
Yeah.
I would love to just talk to him. Do you make monkey noises while making the sex? It's doing the sex, and no, I don't.
Making the sex?
Get it right.
Bastardized that. What's wrong with you?
Don't you pay attention?
A couple of people have mentioned Milo Stewart. The reason I wouldn't want to talk to Milo Stewart is because I think Milo Stewart is actually insane. And that's not a joke. I think Milo Stewart needs serious psychiatric help.
I think so too.
If you watch the breakdown video, the one where she just cried her eyes out, it was on her second channel. It's hard to watch. And then she had the one she just did the other day, which I was actually considering doing a video on, where she talks about the first time she has sex.
Oh no!
Was this recent?
It's recent, yes. She's become one of. I forget how she says it. It's really fucking stupid though. She didn't lose her virginity because
she had her sexual debut.
That's it. Thank you. Sexual debut.
Oh God.
Yes, because she doesn't believe in losing your virginity because that implies cisnormativism.
Oh Lord.
But it's not really the V card until the thingy goes up the other thingy.
It is, yeah, because that's what it is meant. Was it her dad? That is so horrible.
Oh no!
She didn't tell us actually.
Christ.
Gross, guys.
From what she described, I'm guessing somebody licked her snoochie doodle, and then she licked one back. But yeah, for somebody who claims to be asexual, especially watching her talk about this, Milo is such a horrific case. This is the worst of what Tumblr can do to a child, in my opinion.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that Milo is significantly younger than Riley Dennis, and especially mentally, I don't think you could come close to calling her an adult.
No, she's insane. She needs severe psychiatric help.
Well, the other thing too is that, you know, some people were like, "Are you sure you're a tranny?" And she was like, and to prove that she was a tranny, and she did something she didn't want to do, which was go on hormones. And keep in mind, she does not want to be on hormones, and she doesn't have dysphoria. She said that. So now she's going to go on hormones, and she's probably actually going to get gender dysphoria.
She just needs to get the fuck away from the internet, and she needs severe. She said she has a therapist, and she needs a new one, a good one, because I actually feel bad watching her channel. That's why I don't generally talk about her, and really wouldn't want to talk to her because I think she would end up curling up in a ball, crying, and sucking her thumb. What about you, Scribe? Who would you like to talk to?
There's two that if I had the opportunity, I'd love to talk to. The first is John Eckloff, who was one of my very first sort of focuses. He's the guy that eventually led me to the whole Title IX thing in the school district in Washington State. He's and I thought of this at the time. If you I think he's my first TEDx video and I had to do it in 2 parts because I had a 15-minute limit at the time. He seems, and this is just this is my impression, he seems to have watched Denzel Washington doing Malcolm X a lot. because well, I mean, if you watch Denzel Washington doing his speeches and impressions of Malcolm X in the movie X, or Malcolm X, John Eckloff is almost like, it's like he watched that movie over and over again and practiced the intonations and the movements of his hands, or maybe he was watching Malcolm X footage itself. I don't know. I haven't done that much research into it, but I have seen the movie Malcolm X, and that's my sort of my mental image of how Malcolm X operated. Mm-hmm. And he's a very interesting character, and he has some very conflicting ideas. The TEDx, if you watch my TEDx talk on him, I point these out as he tells his little stories and things. And the other one is, of course, Dr. Hoff. Dr. Chris Hoff, just it fascinates me. This guy absolutely fascinates me. And the interesting thing is, and I was thinking about this today, the video I did yesterday or the day before or whatever, the Curriculum of Fear, we got these 2 teachers sort of talking about this award they were nominated for, and they're sort of downplaying their worth on the basis of their skin color and everything. I was thinking about the parallels between Dr. Hoff and these 2 teachers, and I actually wanted to pose, maybe not a question, but I just wanted to bring it up with you guys because you look at a lot of other stuff that I don't. The similarities I see here, you've got a guy who's a therapist, and you got 2 guys who are school teachers. And they're both, the group of them, I should say, they're in positions of accredited authority. Mm-hmm. They are, in various terms, mentors and or counselors and or educators. They're having people come to them to benefit from the knowledge they possess as, an expert in their field, or at least in their position as a teacher or a guide. And yet both of these, I say both people just because I don't want to talk about 3 people, but the general tone I get from both videos and the subjects is that they somehow feel that they are honor bound to self-denigrate. Dr. Hoff talks a lot about the therapist needs to, the same old buzzwords, acknowledge your privilege and understand your position of authority and defer to your patient's wants and desires, this other thing. And same thing was coming from the teachers in that video the other day where they say, listen to your students and take your marching orders from others and be humble. And, I'm flattered to be nominated for this award, but other people deserve it because I'm just white or something like that. Why? I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand a lot of things, but this is such a similar thing between 2 completely different disciplines where it seems like an imperative to undercut your validity, not only as a professional in whatever field you're in, but also as a person, in order to become a better person. I don't get it. Does this make sense to you guys? I'm babbling a little bit, but
okay, so maybe it's because I'm minoring in sociology, and I've seen this like in real life. Okay. And they actually do that.
Sure. I'm just wondering, like, I don't understand what the rationale is, I suppose.
The rationale is that because you as a white, so for example, my professor this past semester is kind of an old woman who's had a couple of kids, who's married. She's white. Her husband's wealthy, and she's more or less she's just a college professor. And so for her, essentially, she can't possibly understand what it's like to be a Black single mother with 6 kids from 5 different men. Mm-hmm. So who is she to comment on, like, what? So, for example, sociology of the family. So who is she to comment on the family structure and that kind of stuff? And that's more or less the the tone of it. And it's interesting how in the presence of, I guess, otherwise oppressed people, how meek these people get.
Right.
And just how whenever, you know, somebody says something or we read something that's just, it sounds completely insane, instead of really talking about it, you just go with, well, yeah, I mean, of course it's that way because this black person with 10 baby daddies said so. So clearly, it's how it is. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the industry. It seems like to me to do that.
Was that you breaking up or me?
That was her.
Okay, we didn't hear what you just said there.
Which part?
What you just said.
The last thing you said.
Oh, I think it's the industry standard.
Interesting.
To defer like that. Because like I said, I think the thinking is just, well, we can't possibly know, so we have to listen to what they said, assuming that we can understand what they're saying, but, you know.
Yeah. Monkey, does that make sense, like what I was babbling about before? Do you have any?
Yeah, if I'm understanding what you were asking correctly, I think it's a product of PC, the whole PC culture. Nobody wants to be the racist. Nobody wants to be the sexist. And some people don't understand that you don't have to feel guilty or you're racist. You don't have to apologize for being white or you're racist. But that's what's been pushed, and that's the narrative of the mainstream right now. And it's pushed so often, and the people who, you know, the self-denigration of I can't really comment on this because I'm white. It comes from not wanting to be. It comes from a place of not wanting to be racist. They don't pay attention to the fact that it makes them fucking stupid.
And also can make them racist as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it comes from, it's a weird side effect of political correctness that it has caused more racism than it's ever going to solve.
It seems
a prime example of that, what Monkey's saying, is that we were told that if you're black or Hispanic, you can't understand what it's like to have a nuclear family.
You're shitting me. Is that a
this
quote?
Was yes.
What the fuck?
And it was a quote in a reading, right?
Okay.
And I was like, we're gonna talk about that, right? And we did, and she was just like, I was like, what? Wait.
Them motherfuckers need the Cosby Show in their life.
So the way I try to rationalize it is that yes, there's virtue signaling. You know, obviously there's a lot of that, but at the same time, there's usually I get the idea that virtue signaling is when something is right in front of you and you need to make sure everybody knows where you stand on it. Like something happens in the news or something happens, you know, in politics or something, and they need to tweet out like whatever it is to make sure that everybody knows that you're not one of those people. But what I get from Dr. Hoff specifically, and again, my perspective on this might be a little myopic because I'm only thinking about Dr. Hoff and these couple of teachers and other people, all I've seen in other places. It seems more like it's this ingrained preemptive strike against, like what you're talking about, the accusation of racism or their belief that they are seen as inherently X, Y, Z, whatever, you know, misogynist, sexist, whatever.
Yeah, and you're right. I think it's that they're seen as inherently unable to understand anything that comes from a black person or a gay person or whatever.
Right, and they need to sort of like acknowledge ahead of time before anybody asks.
That they can't possibly understand anything because of skin color, race, you know, all that.
Right, but the thing that really, and you know, if that's what you think, and all that thought said, like, okay, well, good for you, I guess. The thing that really bugs me, or maybe not bugs me, I guess mystifies me, is specifically for like Dr. Hoff, his chosen profession, and especially in this last video I did on him, where he basically, I mean, if you take everything that he says about himself and about what he thinks the therapist should do and et cetera, by the end of his video, he's basically said, I am irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
My role, my education, my accomplishments, who I am, what I am, etc., in the context of the therapist-client relationship, I am irrelevant, and in fact need to sort of push myself even further down beyond where my client is, because I have to make sure that they don't feel like there's a power differential between the two of us. I'm like, they're paying you to help them. There is a power differential there implied by the fact that they are requesting help. They are showing their vulnerability. They're turning over and showing you their soft underside because they want assistance. And yet your response to that is to say, I'm not worthy. I think of Wayne and Garth in front of Alice Cooper. It's like Alice Cooper's before you. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Anyway, I don't mean to rattle on about this, but I was thinking about the teachers and Dr. Hoff and sort of the similarities between their sort of they had to artificially invalidate themselves entirely in the face of a compliment, essentially. It's just...
Well, they have to, because the only way that they can get validation is by admitting that they're invalid.
And it's so Catholicism. It's so admit the sin, admit your sin, and you will cleanse yourself.
We have talked about social justice so many times in the respect of religion, because in many ways it is.
Yes.
White privilege is original sin. That's what it fucking is.
Yes.
Male privilege is original sin. What mystifies me so much about it is so many of these people claim to be atheists, and maybe it's that they didn't grow up religious, so they don't. I grew up very religious. We went to church 3 times a week. I used to bore the shit out of me.
Jesus Christ.
Twice on
exactly.
Sunday.
Jesus Christ.
And so when I got away from, I can see where the church is.
Right.
And maybe it's just that so many of these kids have no, and I realize when you're talking about Dr. Hoff, that's not a kid, but
yeah, but still
social justice in general. So many of them weren't raised religious, so they don't know what the religions are really like. They get it from Facebook memes, or if you look at the way that they treat these subjects, it is so religious. It's their religion. And when part of your religion is that you are guilty by default,
right?
What else are you going to say?
Exactly.
I mean, Christians have to admit from the beginning that they are flawed, no matter how they've acted.
Right.
Original sin.
Yeah. I wasn't raised religious in any way, shape, or form, but over the years, peripherally, I've, just from movies, TV, and other things, I've, just absorbed what it's all about. And I've had friends who are religious and that kind of thing. And I mean, I suppose if you've never been exposed to religion, and we're talking more about the younger set, I suppose, these days than the older set, then you don't have that ability to contrast the two. All the same, you like as I am an anecdotal example, you don't need to have been raised religious to be able to tell that there's something not quite right with the idea that I am an inborn wretched creature. Like, no matter what I do, I'm always going to have this indelible stain on my soul.
I think part of it is that, and this is actually one of the, because sometimes sociology is fun. People tend to gravitate towards religion, especially with people who have lower self-esteem, because essentially what it means is that you're a piece of shit, but you can repent for being a piece of shit, so it's great. And people will find a reason to belong to something, no matter what, whether it's in a church or flogging yourself for being white.
Maybe that's it. Maybe
people like to be in that sort of a community, and
hold on, I'm trying to form a thought here. So if you have like low self-esteem, let's just say for whatever reason, you just have low self-esteem, and there's no good explanation for it, you just do. Somebody gives you an explanation, something you can latch your low self-esteem onto, that justifies it and also makes you a good person at the same time. Like if somebody had given me a reason for my depression, you know, or an outlet that made it like a good thing to be depressed, and I didn't know any better, maybe that's it. Or maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing.
It's part of it, and also part of it. It usually tends to be that these are people who feel like they're outcasts in other areas of their lives, which, you know, if you act like a social justice warrior a lot, then you probably are. Everybody probably hates you for good reasons. And it also just comes from the fact that humans are naturally social animals, and it feels good, feels warm and fuzzy.
Monkey.
Well, I was just gonna say there is the whole social aspect of it, but you can get into other things and still be social. With this, it's they talk themselves into it, and
yeah, no, it's a much more intense for a lot of people social interaction though.
But look at the argument I was talking about with the Vegan Gains video. His argument, and lots of people told me that they thought it was great until they heard what I said. So if you hear an argument and it makes sense to you, and say you've taken that argument in for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then somebody comes along and makes a counter argument, it's very easy to, you know, reject their counter argument because your brain has learned that this is right. A lot of people, I don't want to say they're unwilling, but they're unable to question themselves. We've talked about this many times. Being able to question yourself is just the most important thing to personal growth.
It's vital. And not only that, but I think the big psychological issue is, and other people have brought this up before too, if you encounter an argument that would necessarily invalidate or at least call into question not only your own beliefs about yourself, but also your actions and or beliefs about other people, then you would have to then admit that maybe you actually are a bad person for what you've done, doing bad things for a, you know, self-justified reason. It's kind of like, you know, the shock value of, oh, I was hating gay people because I was told to by this book, and then, you know, my brother turned out to be gay. How do I reconcile these two things? You know, and then suddenly having a revelation of like, oh, it doesn't make any sense to, and then like, oh, I've been doing and saying horrible things about people who are just like my brother or whatever. I think that's part of the problem. I don't want to, you know, go too far onto this for too long. We could go on forever. There's Monkey and STA, and I could talk about this for days. But we are in the last 20 minutes of the. Yes. The
other interesting thing that I found really interesting is that the places with the lowest rates of suicide are the ones that are the most religious.
I have a reason to live.
That and
well, not only a reason to live,
my first sociology professor. What?
I said most religions also have rules against it.
Yeah, but that's in Western countries. That's usually not. Because people in Western countries tend to not be as fundamentalist as in other countries. But what he said was that if you belong to a church, then there's no shortage of moms that will bring you casseroles if something goes wrong. And so there's also that. I mean, it's just. So the psychology of like religion, and then I guess you could even get into cults, is really interesting.
Yeah, and we should talk about cults sometime in a wider stream, because you've been looking into a lot of that stuff. I've been looking at that stuff since forever, especially with Jonestown and all that. Were you still going to do a video on the Jonestown Angry MGTOW thing, or is that kind of past?
I might, because that's always relevant with him. Yeah. So it'll just depend on timing.
Okay. Well, we're in the last 20 minutes, and so let's turn it over to Chat. Chat, you are the star of the show now.
What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, tell us what you'd like to talk about, or questions.
By the way, you can donate to Scribe with the $sign in the bottom lower left corner of your bottom lower left. What the fuck?
Bottom
the
lower
$sign you see on your screen. You know what I'm talking about. Give Scribe money.
Irate Prostrate.
He needs a fainting couch because I keep not knowing stuff.
Irate Prostate asks, watch The Path. I did watch the first several episodes of The Path before the Hulu account I was using got expired or whatever, or they changed the terms. It's a Hulu exclusive TV show. It stars the guy who played Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad and a couple other really good actors. And it deals with a made-up cult that is sort of based around... it's got elements of like Scientology and a little bit of Jonestown and some other things into it, and it tells the story of this family that was raised in or had been adopted into this cult, and how it all operates. So it's sort of like a kind of a dark drama, and it's decent. It's interesting. It has some interesting stuff in it, and if you can get a chance to watch it, I'd recommend it. It's 18 plus for sure. But First Cynic, $2. Get some $2 Chuck. Oh yeah, I have an article in an old magazine somewhere where they interviewed the guy who created $2 Chuck, and they called him the scourge of whatever that valley is where they make all the wine in California.
Napa.
And the scourge of Napa Valley. That was the name of the article, and he's an interesting guy. Let's see. I need a product for Cynic.
How about wine?
Oh, okay. This broadcast is brought to you by First Cynic. If you need to get drunk cheaply, try First Cynic. Yeah.
Let's see. We had a couple of questions here. What do we think about them remaking Hellboy? We talked about this last night.
Yeah.
I can see with the Deadpool success why they might want to, but I think we've all pretty much agreed that it was unnecessary.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, just stop, leave it as is. Re-release Hellboy, the first two movies, into the theaters, and you'll get plenty of money. Trust me.
If milk is racist, then is public breastfeeding a Klan rally? Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
What is everyone's favorite shows of all time?
Oh God! This broadcast is brought to you by Flair Fritz. When you need to mark your territory and keep the deer away, try Flair Fritz.
Thank you, Flair. Favorite TV shows. My all-time favorite, I have to go with Scrubs. I just fucking love that show.
Yes, you talked about that. Scrubs for you, Shield for me.
Yep. SDA. Did we ever get an answer?
It's Vampire Diaries.
It's
Twilight,
the only
TV
series that I've watched all the way through 3 times.
Vampire Diaries?
Yeah, so let's go with that.
You've watched Vampire Diaries all the way through 3 times. How are you not in a hospital bed catatonic? Holy shit.
You need to spend that time better and watch like Goonies, damn it.
Oh God. Okay.
Any plans for Memorial Day?
Having was it Monday off, I think, because it's Memorial Day weekend. We get the Monday off. I think that's the national. Yeah. So yeah, having a 3-day weekend. Yay.
Yeah.
Probably making videos.
Barbecue with the family.
Yeah.
Ranting Monkey, who's your favorite character in GTA 5? I like Franklin. The other two are way over the top.
Let's see. Did you see that video? The guy, who's the crazy redneck guy in that game? I forget now.
Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor. Did you ever see the actor that plays Trevor?
No.
He looks exactly the same, and they actually did a video where it was sort of a virtual reality thing, but it was live action, and it's sort of like Trevor was taking this guy along in a real GTA scenario. It's actually really funny. I'll find it and send you a link if I can pick it up.
Yeah, you have to do that. Why is everybody so obsessed with our favorite Johnny Cash song?
Ring of Fire.
I like Ring of Fire.
Or Folsom Prison Blues. That's also good. What is the connection between the JFK? This is from Polydub. What is the connection between the JFK assassination, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones?
Real quick, I would have to say Boy Named Sue is my favorite.
Boy Named Sue. Okay.
It's such a funny fucking song. I love it.
It's the answer to Polydub's.
It's a Ford. Well, there's a Harrison Ford. Yeah, was Harrison Ford involved in JFK assassination?
No, but like I think they might have been riding in a Ford.
Well, I don't know.
Did I just get something before you?
That would be funny if that's true. Let's see. The car JFK was in, it was a limousine. What's on display at the Henry Ford Museum? It's a Lincoln. Now, I don't know. Is Lincoln a Ford brand?
Oh.
I don't know. Polydub, you might have stumped us. I don't know, but SDA's guess is not bad if that's what it is. Let's see. Ranting Monkey, Scribe, SDA. What is the most decadent and delicious food you ever ate?
Better than sex cake.
Well, the most delicious thing I remember ever having was there was this. It was kind of like an apple pie type thing that I went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse once, which is semi-fancy. And at the time they had this dessert that was like this apple, I don't know what to say it was an apple tart, but it was kind of like an apple pie thing. I don't even know what it was, but it was the most delicious apple, any pastry I have ever eaten. And it was just, I mean, it was like mind-blowingly good. And they discontinued it at some point because I went back there a couple years ago and I was like, oh, can I get that apple thing? And like, oh, we stopped serving them. I'm like, oh, because I wanted to have a food orgasm.
Lincoln is a Ford thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you could live in any fictional universe, what would it be? Oh, did you want to answer the food one, SDA, before we move on?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Any fictional universe.
Probably Star Wars. I don't want to be a smuggler, you know, and that sort of swashbuckle, I'm not going to die kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably go Star Wars too. SDA would be in Twilight.
Yeah.
Can I default to Star Wars?
Sure.
Timothy Seelbeck, thank you. Fuck you guys are young. Ford, Lincoln, Mercury. That's true. That is true. Okay. Well, it's not that I'm young. It's just that I don't think about cars about that much. Yeah, who's young here? How old are you, Timothy? Holy cow. But anyway, I need a product for Timothy. Oh, cars. There you go. Yeah. This broadcast is brought to you by Timothy Seelbeck. For the best mileage on the road, try Timothy Seelbeck.
There you go. Scribe, do you have a Trump impression?
Was that your Trump? Huge. That's it. Huge. That's all I got. Scribe Porkins, Oswald's wife lived at Ruth's Payne's house where he stored his rifle and stayed the night before the assassination. Payne taught the actor who played Porkins Russian. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, that is a obscure connection. I think SDA's is better.
Yeah, I win.
I think SDA's is better.
I would say Ford is a much better answer.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if we've ever streamed with Bering. Actually, he was on with us one time.
Yep, he showed up one of the earliest ones.
A bunch of times.
Yeah, I've only done the one time. Who would you like to stream with that you've never streamed with before, Monkey?
Well, I all of my previous answers have been taken up because the other night I got on with Wizard of Cause and Undoomed.
Oh yeah.
How'd you do that?
Wizard he was bored and threw up a live stream and tossed me the link.
Oh, nice.
I guess I would have to say Andy Worski. He's more spastic than I usually like in a creator, but he makes it work for me, and I love watching him laugh. It's like Scribe's laugh for me. I just love it when he loses his shit.
I'd love to stream with Skeptor, and even though I would be completely bowled over, Jim, Internet Aristocrat, just to like be on a stream with him just for like 10 minutes, just talk about something would be great.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Sanguine again. Holy cow. What is the worst version of a story element that you have seen? Okay, we'll get to that.
Worst version of a story element that you love.
SDA, who would you want to stream with?
That I've never streamed with before?
Yeah.
It's
for fun.
Well, she's popular. She streamed with everybody.
That's true. You can say I don't know. It's okay.
I don't
know. Let's see. So Sanguine, what's a product for Sanguine?
Something
random.
Sounds like penguin.
So it's a zoo.
A zoo. A zoo.
Yeah, let's see you do this one.
All right. This broadcast is brought to you by Sanguine. You want to see animals throwing shit at each other? Try Sanguine. Okay, what is the worst version of a story element that you love that you have seen? Okay, so some story element I like that has been done awfully. The shape-changing monster. Like I love The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I love the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, kind of that kind of stuff. I saw this movie. God, I gotta remember the name of it. But they were guys. They were the same guys who did or tried to do the practical effects on The Thing prequel. Remember that from like 2014 or whatever? And that was the movie where they did all the practical effects and the studio thought, oh, they don't look real enough, so we're going to put CGI over all of them. So, which was, anyway, the guys who did the practical effects on that movie, they did a Kickstarter, got a bunch of money to make their own monster movie, and then they did their own monster movie using practical effects, and their budget was such that it looked lousy. And it was a real shame, too, because, I mean, they put so much effort into, like, trying to make up for what was done to them by the big studio, but it just... Their lower budget and the use of too much darkness to try to cover up the strings just turned out badly. I'll try to find the name of that movie.
For me, I would say romance.
Yeah,
they fuck it up so often.
That's true.
I love romantic movies. So,
in what way do you think they fuck it up?
Sometimes they force it. Sometimes it just doesn't come off natural. I was in the store today and realized that they released 50 Shades Darker. I didn't even realize they'd released it for the movies yet.
Oh, yeah.
And they released an honest trailer for it today. And if you watch these two, they have the worst chemistry ever. And this is a shit movie to begin with, based on a shit book.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to fuck it up, so that when you see it right, it feels better for me. So. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways to fuck up romance.
Yeah, I've seen some movies where I forget what it was. There was a movie where the original script had the main actor and the actress, of course, having a romantic thing, but like over the course of doing the movie, the two actors realized that they didn't have any chemistry in that way, and the story didn't really justify it. So they basically went to the director and said, this doesn't work. And he's like, you're right. So they wrote out the romance thing and just made it sort of like a platonic support thing. And it, you know, and when they explained that on the commentary, I thought, yeah, trying to have these two characters and these two actors try to force a romance at this point, that would be bad. So good choices there, movie people.
I think mine is dragons.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Like when have you seen it bad?
Well, there's a book specifically that's about people who can shapeshift into dragons, and it's done really badly. And it's pretty much like dragons in Twilight. Like if Twilight was about shapeshifting dragons. And it's just such a wasted opportunity. But I do know of a project that's happening with shapeshifting dragons that I know is going to be really good.
Is this something that Bay is writing?
Don't talk about it. They're in business.
I'm psychic. Okay, I have ESPN. What were you gonna say, Monkey?
I was just saying, we had another question. Have you ever been on a pity date?
I don't pity people.
No, I might have been the subject of a pity date.
Oh, that's so sad.
I may have been, but yeah, no, I've never dated somebody because I felt sorry for them.
Why would I do that?
I've never officially been on a date.
Yeah, you just kind of fell into everything.
Yep.
You just kind of slipped on a banana peel and ended up fucking him.
That's right. Yeah, there was no dating involved. The first time I actually went on a date was with my wife. So
yeah. Most of my relationships up until maybe a couple of years ago, just sort of evolved out of social stuff. So I never really dated as a precursor to any of it. The couple of times that I have dated off of things like OkCupid or whatever, I've gotten some really good stories out of them. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll tell them sometime because a couple of them are kind of disastrous. But yeah, nothing long-term ever led from any of them.
You've never been a wingman? No, I haven't.
No.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, he was a solo. Han Solo.
Not necessarily solo, but I wasn't there to help somebody else get laid. If you were stranded in the Himalayas and your partner died and your survival was dependent on eating them, would you do it?
Yes.
Yeah, if they already died.
Yeah, I'd eat their butt, just like the Argentinian soccer players.
Oh, Kara, that's so nice. Kara, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I went on a pity date my junior year. I felt sorry for the guy who couldn't get a prom date. That's very nice of you. That's very sweet.
What, putting false hopes in somebody's head?
Yeah, why would you do that? Don't make them think that people want to date them. What is
it? It doesn't necessarily mean she lied about it or that she made it a romantic thing. Maybe she just said, we'll go as friends. Why y'all gotta be going there?
With low self-esteem that they won't believe you.
Okay, Scotch has been yelling at us this whole time. Scotch, I'll tell it to you. Please list all the plot holes in all the Star Wars movies. Okay, here it is, Scotch. They're fiction. Moving on.
Oh yeah. We didn't do last call, but this is probably
this is last call. Yeah, this is basically last call. I think last 20 minutes
now.
Yep. Oh, this is the Baymance that makes Scribe and Monkey puke. No. The Baymance does not make me puke. It's fine. Two women loving each other. I have virtually
like that.
I've watched many a video in that way. Yes, it's true. So that's fine by me. Kidding. I mean, everybody kids everybody about their relationships, and Bay and SDA are just one more.
Have you ever played old school RTSs on computers like Command and Conquer or Warcraft?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I love Command and Conquer. I have a set that came out. Got Tiberian Wars. I got the original still with the 2 discs. Yeah, I fucking love.
Warcraft 2 is still one of my favorite RTS games, even though it's ancient as fuck at this point. But I got it for Christmas
like
one year.
World of Warcraft, or is it like a different?
It's what World of Warcraft was based off of.
Yeah.
Different. So.
Yeah. There. Yeah. Warcraft was a real-time strategy game. There's Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, and then 3 and World of Warcraft were kind of close to each other in release and such. But yeah, Warcraft 2 I think is my favorite, just because it's simple, and the characters were fun, and the base building was neat. And then when the Beyond the Dark Portal expansion came out, and you had all the hero characters with their interesting little stories, that was cool.
They asked if I played Age of Empires or Doom. Also, I played Age of Empires. I have played Rise of Nations. Yeah, I played most of the 90s RTSs.
Yeah, I played the old school Westwood Dune game, and I didn't play Age of Empires, but I played the Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which was just an Age of Empires 3 total conversion, basically, and I played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good one. I do love Warcraft 3. Frozen Throne probably has the best story of any game I've ever played. I actually, for storytelling, I love Blizzard, and I love what they did with Arthas and that.
Yeah.
Did you play World of Warcraft?
Oh yes. Oh, I had all 3 games. I didn't actually enjoy World of Warcraft 3 as much. It got.
No. I like Warcraft, the online game.
Oh, World of Warcraft I played for about 3 months. I played an undead warrior mostly. I tried playing like an orc wizard at some point, but.
How much did you like it?
How much did I like it?
Yeah.
I actually didn't like it all that much because the problem was it became just too much go here, do this, come back, done. And it's like all the story was text. I didn't feel any involvement in what was going on. And so many other people had been doing it for so many years prior to that. The barrier for entry, either socially or otherwise, just was sky high, at least from my perspective.
Meanwhile, I played for almost a decade, so bite me.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fine.
I'm telling her.
Well, you're already married, so it's not like you have anybody to impress.
Oh.
I don't have to impress people. It just happens.
All right, we're about a minute out, guys. So,
last few seconds. Monkey
yeah.
loving his wife makes SDA puke, but she gets to be like, yes, duh. It's different.
Right. Okay, guys, we're going to call it there. Monkey and SDA, thank you so much for coming, as always.
Mm-hmm.
Chat, thank you for entertaining us along the way. And I hope you enjoyed your endorsement commercials. I'll try to keep doing that when it's my turn for the stream. Where are we tomorrow night? We are on SDA's channel, I think.
Do we want to keep up the rotation? Because, we got out of rotation, but we're still in rotation if we stay how we're doing. So it would be her turn next.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody.
That's good with me.
Yeah, everybody listening now and listening as you're listening to this at work or something tonight or later tomorrow night or whatever. Look for SDA's channel tomorrow at around 9 p.m. Eastern, barring there being some change to that. Watch Twitter for any announcements on that end. And otherwise, Monkey's life makes me sad. I'll see you next time, guys.
That sounded so unnatural.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.